going to record because we have a lot of people absent. Okay. All right, clase. We are talking about parties, fiestas, and días festivos. ¿Sí? Es el vocabulario de fiestas y días festivos. So, in talking about parties and festivals, holidays, we are narrating in the past, right? We've been doing this for a while now. We started with the murder mystery and really focused on the preterite, right? And I wanted it to get in your brain and get kind of normal to you that preterite is that single completed action, that me desperté, fui, salí, me vestí, bajé, tomé, comí, right? Like the boom, boom, boom of your day, right? That is preterite. We call it safe waters for specific instance, focus on beginning and ending, etc. For imperfect, we talked about our childhoods and like cuando era niña, and we talked about things that we did all the time. Yo jugaba football. Mi juguete favorito era un oso de peluche, right? Yo jugaba, yo pretendía, yo pasaba tiempo con mis vecinos, right? And we talked about things we did all the time. That was like the repetition of the R. Talked a little bit about weather with Thanksgiving trip, hacía frío, hacía calor, and we were kind of focusing on these little bits. Haven't done a whole lot with age or time or emotion, really. Some with S, and I want to talk more about S today. The S stands for setting. And when we talk about setting, we're describing a situation. So when we talk about a party that happened in the past, and we want to describe that party, we are going to use the imperfect. Like, for example, en la fiesta había mucha gente. La casa estaba decorada muy bonita. La comida era de Moe's. Había muchos regalos y decoraciones, etc. Right? I'm kind of setting the scene for you. Okay. So another way of talking about setting is using this new vocabulary word and strong imperfect trigger, which is mientras. Mientras means while, and it's a word that triggers the imperfect, which means use the imperfect with this word mientras. Why? Because it's creating a setting. It is not communicating, I did this, and then I did that, and then I did this. It's saying, while I was cooking dinner, my daughters were doing their homework. My husband was watching TV. Then, I'm going to get into more of the action, right? But by using this word mientras, I'm setting a scene. And we have to use the imperfect with that. Okay, it's a trigger. It says use imperfect. So for example, the sentence I just gave, yo cocinaba la cena mientras mis hijas hacía la tarea, right? You guys see that on Zoom? Let me adjust the camera a little. Okay. I know I'm trying. Here we go. There you go. During sixth period or fifth period, durante, is that when you had your APES test, Carly, or was it? Yeah. So durante la sexta hora, los estudiantes tomaban el APES y yo, I'm sorry, not y yo, mientras yo almorzaba. Porque en los jueves yo tengo B-lunch. Así que mientras ustedes tomaban el examen, yo almorzaba. See? That's the scene. That's what was happening during sixth period. You were taking a test while I was eating lunch. Okay? So it's pretty simple. Can you think of something that was happening simultaneously either this morning? Maybe Mr. or Mrs. So-and-so was teaching while you were doing something else. Anybody have something they can share? Using mientras, esta mañana, anoche, anything? Carly?
While studying for my test, I was making coffee.
Okay, so yo hacía café mientras it's usually two different people. I feel like I would say mientras hacer, while, but that's okay. Mientras yo estudiaba. Uh-huh. Good. So those things were going on simultaneously. And then maybe like the dog ran in the room and the story would continue, but that kind of sets the scene for us. Okay. This word right here, mientras, it demands you use the imperfect. Okay. It says that I'm communicating something that I'm kind of setting up the scene for you. Okay. Durante chapel esta mañana, ustedes estaban estaban en chapel mientras yo tomaba un COVID test. So that's the scene. That's what it was happening while you were in chapel. I was getting COVID tested. While duration. Okay, imperfect. It's pretty easy, right? You see mientras, you use imperfect. You think mientras, you use imperfect. You're setting the scene, you use imperfect, right? Does that make sense? Are you guys with me so far? Okay, I'm gonna throw a curveball at you. Is this easy or are you still confused? This is easy, right? You good? I'm gonna throw a curveball at you. Are you ready?
I know.
Okay. You ready? Yo cocinaba la cena mientras mis hijas hacían. Anyone can call me out on my bad Spanish anytime you want. La tarea, su tarea, right? Okay, let's think about how I would say that in English, because I know you guys still think in English first and then Spanish. So you're going to be like, wait, Mrs. Dill was cooking while her daughters were doing their homework. Or you might think Ms. Dill cooked while her daughters was cooking, cooked, were doing, did. It's really different in Spanish, or I'm sorry, in English. Right? It's different. Ms. Dill was cooking, Ms. Dill cooked. Doesn't matter, it's the same, right? But in Spanish, because of the mientras, it's going to be cocinaba. But is there a way I could say actually word for word was cooking in Spanish? Was cooking. There is a way. The gerunds, right? To say that she is cooking is está cocinando. Remember that?
Yeah, I like those.
You like that? Yeah. So instead of cocinaba, I can put estar in the imperfect. I'm still using imperfect and use the gerund. Estaba cocinando.
I like that.
You like that? You literally have options. It doesn't matter which one you use because they mean the exact same thing. Because the imperfect communicates setting. It communicates that my action is not complete. Yo estaba cocinando la cena mientras mis hijas estaban haciendo su tarea. It's the same. You can do it either way. I've seen a lot of people say estaba cocinaba. You can't do that. Okay, so if you're not sure on the gerund or that's confusing, just stick with the imperfect.
Could you do like yo estaba cocinando, but then when you talk about like your daughters, could you leave it like
Aussie on, or does
Yeah.
it have to be the same?
No, it doesn't have to be the same. Good
So it
question.
can be like.
Can I use the
both?
gerund on one half of the sentence and the imperfect on the other half of the sentence? Absolutely. Doesn't matter, because it communicates the same thing. It communicates the exact same thing. Durante la sexta hora, los estudiantes estaban tomando el APES test mientras yo estaba almorzando. Same thing, doesn't matter. It communicates the exact same thing. Okay? Now, a little side note, this does not mean that imperfect and imperfect progressive are absolutely interchangeable. Because if I'm talking about my childhood, I got to use the imperfect. But with mientras and communicating this ongoing action, they're interchangeable with mientras. Yes.
Didn't you use imperfect and gerund in the same, like when you switched cocinaba for estaba cocinando, didn't you use both imperfect and gerund?
No. Yeah, I used imperfect here and then the gerund. Estaba cocinando. I would not say estaba cocinaba.
Yeah, so if you put that, like when you were saying, so say you were,
Instead of estaba,
you were talking about your childhood and you were flying to, I don't know, Colorado. Couldn't you still use
Yes.
gerund and imperfect?
Estaba volando.
Sí.
Yes. Cuando era niña y tenía 10 años, mi familia estaba volando a Hawaii cuando, like, maybe something happened. I don't know. So
when the plane broke down, you died.
that's an action interrupted, and we'll talk about that next week. But mientras, for now, yes, either way is fine. Okay.
Malaysia.
Okay.
The plane broke down, we had to pull over.
Clase, I want you to go into Canvas real quick. We're gonna practice. Chicos online, I'm going to share the screen for the sake of my recorded Zoom. You guys feel pretty good about this at home? Are you following me? Okay. Can you see the screen here?
We had a.
All right. Quickly, clase, quickly, rápido. Might be faster if I pull this up. All right, who has it pulled up? You don't even tell you where to find it yet. All the way at the bottom of modules. It's called Durante la boda.
After the wedding?
During.
Oh, that's what I meant to say. That's why I'm confused.
During the wedding. Durante la boda.
After this one.
Uh-huh.
Durante la boda.
Okay, chicos, Peyton, Chappie, attention up here. Check it out. Here it is, right here, okay? Durante la boda de Carmen y Alfonso, algunos de los invitados se portaban mal. By putting that in the imperfect, the writer is trying to tell us that these people were behaving badly. During the wedding, they were behaving badly. Use the imperfect to describe, look, here's a perfect example. Lo que hacían todos mientras los novios se casaban. What was everyone doing while the groom, what do you call them? Bride and groom, los novios, were getting married. Se casaban. So we're putting some sentences together, looking at what all these people in the church who are behaving very badly, what were they doing while los novios, Carmen y Alfonso, se casaban? Se portaban mal, pero ¿cómo? Let's look at el señor Vázquez. ¿Qué hacía él? ¿O qué estaba haciendo él?
Hablar en
Ajá. El señor Vasquez.
Hablaban.
He's just one person. I spelled that wrong.
Hablaba.
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 Hala.
If you like it better, you can say estaba hablando.
No.
Mientras se casaban. Mientras se casaban. He was talking on the phone while they were getting married. How
Wow.
rude.
For real,
Muy
what the heck?
Wow.
Muy mal.
Why was he invited?
Check it out, guys. If I want to put casarse in the imperfect progressive, don't forget the se comes first. Estaban casando. Estaban casando. If that's what you want to do, how you want to do it, you don't have to. Okay. It looks like Patty y Juanito were fighting, right? Looks like Mr. Garcia and Mr. Ramirez were laughing. Looks like the aunts, las tias, were not getting along. Looks like Mr. and Mrs. Fernandez were actually paying attention while they got married.
Muy bueno.
So let's put a couple of these into sentences. Okay, I'm going to give you like 3 minutes. 3 minutes on your own. Come up with some of these sentences, and then I want to hear from you. So what were some people doing while los novios se casaban? Los novios se casaban. Okay, so 3 minutos, and then I want to hear from a couple. Set a timer for 3 minutes.
Is Senor Medina talking to Mr. Vasquez?
Señor Medina. No, posiblemente, sí. Creo que sí.
Can I just go and talk to him? Can I call him? So rude.
How much did you say loud?
What's the context?
Because like
What was he doing that was loud?
Garcia and Ramirez were like talking loud. It's like you can see the dots above them, which makes it look loud.
They're laughing
Oh.
is what that's supposed to be. Reírse. So let's practice that word. Reírse.
I'm on that side.
Reírse, laughing.
How much
laugh.
did you say casaban? Or what is-
¿Qué significa? Casaban, se
Yeah.
casaban, they were getting married.
Oh, okay.
The whole thing is mientras se casaban,
Okay.
while they were getting married.
Can you start a sentence with me?
¿Qué significa?
Oh, that's a hard word to say.
¿Qué significa qué?
It's imperfect. It's hard to forget it.
Imperfect is final.
Oh.
Like to laugh is,
To laugh is reírse.
hearsay, but you have to change it.
Here.
No, there's no imperfect is the easiest tense to conjugate in all the world. It's just aba or ia. Except there's only 3 irregulars, ser, ir, and ver. Iba, era, and veía. All you do is drop the IR and add ia. If you want to do the gerund, it gets a little complicated. If you want to do the iendo,
Is it just Rio?
it's reía,
Right, oh, right.
reía.
I would say
But there's
beating.
2 of them, so it's
I
right
would say you
now.
say beating.
No, it'd be late because there's 2 of them.
Beating, like,
Se casaba
Hitting, beating?
mientras
Yeah.
se casaba.
Pegar,
You said Hagar?
Pegar.
Oh, Hagar.
Okay. Luke, can you give me one? What you got?
How do you say to get married again? That's the last thing. That's the last part I don't have.
Se casaban, and it's in the directions too. Se casaban.
El señor García y el señor Ramírez se reía mientras Carmen y Alfonso se. Sorry, how do you say it again?
Se casaban.
Se casaban.
Look, it's right there in the directions, Luke. Can you see my mouse?
No, I can.
All right, so el señor Garcia y el señor Ramirez se reían, right? Because there's two of them. Se reían mientras los novios se casaban. If you wanted to put this in the gerund, you guys, it is a little bit irregular. Se estaban riendo. Because this E becomes an I. It's kind of a funky one in the gerund, FYI. But if you stick with the imperfect, they're super, super easy. Chappie, can you give me one? Give us one.
Sí, durante la boda las tías se llevaban mal mientras se casaban.
Muy bien. He said, durante la boda, las tías se llevaban mal mientras los novios se casaban. Very good. Alyssa, can you give us one more and we'll call it a day?
Durante la boda, el señor García y el señor Rivera se estaba. What did you say the?
Well, we already said it. We need a different one.
I used the first one, but
I can say one.
Well, we already heard that one, so let's change it up.
I didn't have it.
Okay, what you got, Brady?
La Señora Fernández y la Señora Pina estaba muy buena mientras la boda.
Estaba muy buena.
Sí, buena.
Very good.
How about prestaban atención?
Sí,
I got one.
What you got?
Juanito, mientras se estaban, Juanito estaba pagando a taxi.
Oh, no. Yeah, very good.
Although I thought Hagar was like.
Pegar can be to hit.
no,
Golpear is another way to hit. Different words for it. Okay, you're gonna be practicing this tomorrow. Just remember to use imperfect on both sides of mientras. Pretty easy.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Zoomers, good job. Hasta luego.
Oh boy.
I'm older than you.
I heard.
Adios.